She slammed down the small red card onto the sunlit pavement, and for a moment, every onlooker felt time freeze. There, dressed in a simple, yet impossibly striking outfit, stood none other than Cate Blanchett, offering a mysterious grin as she dared a single passerby to try a children's game with stakes too haunting to imagine. That shocking imagery is exactly how Squid Game's third season finale pulled out all the stops, leaving countless fans around the globe wondering, what is going on, and how on earth did we get here? Today we are diving headfirst into the swirling drama behind that bold finale, the rumored spinoff that promises to shift the entire focus of the competition across the ocean, and the many controversial twists that have shaped this entire phenomenon. Buckle up, because we are about to peel back the curtain on what might be the most talked about cameo of the decade, and how it could reshape the future of a beloved series. In this in-depth exploration, we will tackle the biggest questions you have been dying to know. How did this cameo in Los Angeles manage to generate such explosive fan theories about an American version of the infamous survival game? Could Cate Blanchett's cameo point to possibilities far more expansive than a simple cameo, including collaborations with big-name directors like David Fincher? And beyond all the buzz, is Squid Game really going to continue after its third season? Or is this final curtain call truly the end of the line? We will look at every piece of tantalizing evidence, dive into the controversies that drove fans to question the show's creative direction, and examine if Netflix might already be cooking up the next big thing that will solidify Squid Game's place in pop culture for years to come. Whether you are here for the unexpected cameo or the broader drama around the iconic green tracksuits, this is the ultimate story you have been waiting to hear. First, just imagine the sudden jolt that audiences felt when the frontman, known by many simply as In-ho, appeared on the bustling streets of downtown Los Angeles. Squid Game, a series originally set in a dystopian vision of South Korea, shattered common expectations by suddenly shifting to an American backdrop. The brilliance, though, lay in revealing none other than Cate Blanchett as a recruiter, calmly flipping over the corners of didactic cards on the sidewalk, her face every bit as enigmatic as the next cryptic clue in a murder mystery. Everyone was left asking themselves, did that actually just happen? Did an Academy Award-winning actor truly appear in the final episode of a Korean survival drama to launch a new chapter of international chaos? The answer, of course, is yes. And with that confirmation, the rumor mill ignited, swirling with the possibility of an official spin-off set in the United States. So, naturally, we all began to wonder, is Netflix preparing to duplicate the game's terrifying premise in the City of Angels? Could we see a cameo from someone equally shocking next time around? Or is this the last we will hear of the franchise's big Hollywood ambitions? For months, fans have scoured every corner of the internet, searching for any sign of official statements, sneaky leaks, or behind-the-scenes insights. Rumors popped up in 2023 that Netflix and David Fincher were flirting with the idea of introducing a brand new setting for the Grizzly contests. After all, the formula is nearly irresistible. Desperate participants who see no other path but to trade their moral compasses for a shot at innocent-sounding games with not-so-innocent consequences. Throw in an Oscar-winning cameo, shift the location to the city where dreams are made and often crushed, and you have the recipe for something that might outshine the original. But as of now, Netflix remains suspiciously tight-lipped, offering only ambiguous answers about the potential new show. The big question remains, why would they tease such a monumental idea with a cameo, only to play coy about a series that fans are clamoring to see? Part of the puzzle lies in how the show's own creator, Hwang Dong-hyuk, has approached the phenomenon. He has gone on record multiple times indicating that after forging the labyrinthine story of Gi-hun, the masked overseers, and the many unsuspecting contestants who waged a high-stakes war over marbles, he was ready to close the chapter with a final third season. For those who followed every excruciating twist in the original and second seasons, the idea of a definitive resolution was appealing. After all, each storyline felt increasingly harrowing, so it seemed natural for the saga to reach a conclusive finale. But the cameo from Cate Blanchett has complicated that sense of closure, injecting a wave of new theories and speculations. Is the original brain behind Squid Game truly done? Or is there a chance he might shift into a more advisory role while letting someone else develop the rumored American spin? It is worth mentioning that the show's second and third seasons have unleashed more than enough controversy among fans and critics to ignite deep debates in comment sections worldwide. After the second season soared to the top of Netflix's charts, fans cautiously approached the third, worried that the show might lose its laser-sharp focus or overly rely on shock tactics. True enough, upon its release, the critics gave it about 83%, while audience responses lingered around 52%. These numbers, spelled out in detail, highlight a substantial split between viewers. Some insisted that the show's deeper messages about class struggle and moral compromise remained potent, while others griped that too much attention was being placed on cameo appearances and side stories that felt more like excuses for over-the-top spectacle rather than purposeful commentary. Regardless, the cameo by Cate Blanchett was the ultimate conversation accelerator, dominating social media and overshadowing nearly every other element of the finale. You might be asking, so why did they make such a massive cameo in the third season if there were no immediate plans to expand the story? Was this just a quick stunt to stir up hype, or something more calculated? Keep in mind that Netflix loves to test the waters whenever it sees potential for a long-running franchise. Evidence of this can be found in how the streaming giant has branched out with additional projects like Squid Game, The Challenge, an unscripted series that gave fans a more controlled, reality-esque environment, in which contestants tackled comedic but often anxiety-inducing versions of the show's frightening tasks. Though it garnered impressive viewership, it, too, found a mix of criticism and praise, with critics awarding it around 48%, while fans responded more positively at 79%. This pattern proves that as soon as a property like Squid Game latches onto the public's imagination, Netflix seems determined to see just how far it can take that brand, sometimes testing the boundaries of success and pushing the narrative in new directions. If you are excited by the possibility of a new Squid Game set in the United States, you are not alone. The idea has broad appeal not just for existing fans, but also for casual viewers who might feel the show's distinctly Korean setting does not speak to Western audiences in the same immediate way. A shift to a dystopian Los Angeles could open up new angles, such as how the economic disparities in the heart of Hollywood contrast with the glitzy illusions of fame. It could also explore the moral lines that people cross when they are threatened with poverty and hopelessness in a land perceived to be the epitome of opportunity. Franchise expansions often hinge on these universal themes, and if David Fincher, famous for dissecting the darker parts of human psychology, were to take the reins, there is no telling how psychologically twisted the new iteration might become. Yet, the question remains, is Hwang Dong-hyuk fully on board with these expansions, or would Netflix move forward without his direct involvement? According to various sources, the revered showrunner has not officially been made aware of any spin-off developments, which suggests he could be just as in the dark as many fans. Concerns arise from this possible absence of direct involvement. After all, Hwang's unique vision and unwavering willingness to expose both the structural problems of modern society and the chilling ways in which humans operate under dire circumstances gave Squid Game its incendiary spark. Critics have valid fears that a spin-off might become a soulless imitation without Hwang as the steady hand behind the curtain. And still, that cameo in the final episode lingers in everyone's minds, reminding us that something big could be brewing behind the scenes. The cameo was so jolting that people started to speculate on every minute detail. Why Cate Blanchett? How did they land her? Did she volunteer to be part of a storyline she believed was socially relevant? Or was she simply fulfilling a random cameo request from Netflix? Some fans even began creating entire threads dissecting her body language, trying to discern if her fleeting smile or the way she tossed the red and blue Dokji cards might hint at a hidden storyline yet to be explained. Unquestionably, it was an unforgettable moment, and it did more than just stir the pot. It challenged fans to reevaluate everything they knew about Squid Game's place in global entertainment. Suddenly, the notion of the game leaping across borders did not just seem possible, it felt inevitable. If all of this sounds electrifying or chaotic, wait until we dissect the timing of the cameo itself. The final scene of the third season left fans in a precarious emotional state. They had lived through 3 intense sets of mind-boggling events, each raising the stakes on who could survive and what moral lines they would be forced to cross. Then, just when you think the global phenomenon might bow out gracefully, there she is, Cate Blanchett, in the open air of downtown Los Angeles, casually beginning a new cycle. This brand new development might even overshadow the major meltdown that had critics complaining about the show's shift in focus during the latter half of the series. It is almost as if the showrunners, Netflix or both, wanted to pull off one last grand trick, planting an explosive cliffhanger that fans would obsess over, regardless of whether an official American series was in the works. If you are enjoying this deep dive, do not forget to show your support by giving a thumbs up or dropping a comment on your favorite platform. That feedback goes a long way in helping us unravel more mind-bending details about your beloved shows. Of course, you came here for the behind-the-scenes drama and speculation, and we are going to deliver plenty more. Let us keep the momentum going by exploring how the possible American version of Squid Game aligns, thematically and visually, with the original's unflinching style. When we talk about a new take on Squid Game, we are not merely saying, same concept, different city. The entire premise of the game, where severely indebted or desperate people vie for unimaginable prize money in a deadly competition, always soared because it laid bare humanity's darkest struggles. It explored how inequality, ruthless greed, and the exploitation of the vulnerable push ordinary men and women to do the unthinkable. Transporting such harrowing themes to the American landscape adds a wholly distinct dynamic. Modern Los Angeles is iconic, a land of red carpets, lofty mansions in the Hollywood Hills, palm trees swaying in the background, and countless individuals chasing dreams that often slip through their fingers. The tension in seeing the architect of the games convince a random person to play Dokji in the middle of an American city with wealth and misery side by side might be both disturbing and compelling in equal measure. One must wonder if the hypothetical Squid Game, America would be as brutal, more brutal, or differently brutal. The Korean series was deeply tied to cultural issues like debt crises and personal honor in the face of calamity. But an American version might grapple with the cutthroat nature of show business, the hollow pursuit of celebrity, or the pitfalls of the gig economy. And should David Fincher indeed be at the helm, fans of his filmography already know how keenly he can dissect human darkness. From crime thrillers that probe grotesque psyches to subtle dramas that reveal the fractures in everyday personalities, his style might be the perfect companion for a property that thrives on moral ambivalence and the race for survival. It is easy to envision him capturing every bead of sweat rolling down a participant's face as they realize the magnitude of living or dying based on a seemingly innocent children's game. Meanwhile, the mainstream success of the original Squid Game expanded so rapidly that it was no surprise Netflix sought additional ways to cash in on the phenomenon, from reality-based spin-offs to potential video games. You might recall that the show soared to become the most viewed and popular series on Netflix's all-time charts, racking up more than 265 million views. The world was enthralled by the show's signature eerie visuals, shocking twists, and the daunting question, what would you do if playing or not playing was a matter of life and death? That question resonates universally, transcending geographical barriers. This universality fuels the notion that an American version would not merely be a cheap imitation, but rather a logical extension of the original's dark commentary on how far people might go for money, redemption, or a second chance. Now, some worry that expanding the franchise further could dilute the original's potent message. After all, if the lore continues to expand with multiple spin-offs, cameo appearances by mega celebrities, and varying degrees of creative input from Hwang, might we risk losing the intimate storytelling that first captured hearts? That is a valid concern, and it is something fans and critics alike will have their eyes on. But equally, there is the argument that such expansions bring fresh perspectives, exploring facets of the game's moral labyrinth that could not possibly be squeezed into a single 3-season run. For every fan who complains about the risk of diluting the narrative, there is another who is thrilled by the possibility of seeing their favorite twisted premise brought to a whole new cultural landscape. And you can count on Netflix to have its eye on those fan desires. Still, the overall future of Squid Game is cloaked in uncertainty. No one can definitively say whether we will see an official greenlight for Squid Game, America, or if Netflix might pursue yet another direction. Rumors have suggested that even if Hwang himself steps away, the platform could bring on a new creative team, possibly with a big-name American showrunner, to ensure the storyline remains consistent in tone. But that raises deeper questions. Do we want a series that is loyal to Hwang's original blueprint, or would we prefer to see an ambitious reinterpretation reflective of American culture and concerns? the cameo we saw has undeniably fanned the flames of fan curiosity, as though it were an official flag planted to stake a claim for new territory. Yet Netflix's public statements remain murky, leaving us to wonder if they are simply maintaining secrecy for a grand announcement, or if the cameo might have been more of a one-off crowd teaser than a guaranteed spin-off preview. Stranger things have happened on streaming platforms, and we cannot discount the influence of big cameo appearances in shaping new directions for major franchises. Just recall how many times cameo-laden endings in other shows led to entire spin-offs. In an era where global hits can be minted overnight, it appears that Netflix is playing a careful game of wait and see, measuring viewer reactions, social media chatter, and critical buzz. Because this cameo by Cate Blanchett has already sparked such a fervent debate, it is entirely within the realm of possibility that phone calls are being made behind the scenes, negotiations are happening, and teams are drafting potential outlines for a show that may or may not receive the final nod. If you like digging into all sides of a beloved franchise, consider subscribing to our updates so you never miss new revelations, interviews, or behind-the-scenes scoops. In a world where every shocking twist can open the door to multiple spin-offs, staying connected is the key to understanding what might be just around the corner. Now, let us continue this electrifying journey by zeroing in on the deeper themes that make Squid Game so ripe for reinterpretation. At its core, Squid Game explores how society systematically fails its most desperate citizens, compelling them to engage in once unthinkable actions for survival. In South Korea, the show's backdrop was layered with cultural nuances, crippling debt, gambling, fractured family dynamics, and the lurking presence of capitalism's darkest corners. Transplanting that core message into an American setting could incorporate themes of soaring medical bills, the rampant cost of living in cities like Los Angeles, and an entertainment industry that chews people up at lightning speed. The cameo we witnessed might be the earliest harbinger of these fresh angles, suggesting that the game has no borders and that it thrives on exploiting universal human frailties. Cate Blanchett's sudden presence might be a subtle wink toward the universal reach of this concept. She is, after all, an actress of tremendous range, equally at home in blockbusters and artistic dramas, making her an ideal face to bridge cultural divides. One cannot ignore how the show's grim portrayal of capitalism resonates strongly in nations around the globe. What if someone were to adapt the game to reflect American-specific horrors, rampant job insecurity, unimaginable levels of student debt, and a media circus that encourages people's darkest impulses for fleeting fame? There is a sense of raw potential there, an opportunity to craft a narrative that resonates just as powerfully with American viewers as the original did with international audiences. Some fans, however, fear that without the original language and cultural context, any remake or sequel might become a watered-down retelling rather than a bold new chapter. Nonetheless, the cameo strongly hints that the game is evolving, that the concept can adapt itself like a virus, tapping into every society's Achilles heel of desperation and fractured morality. So, where does that leave us now? At the end of the third season, we find ourselves in a state of limbo, uncertain if we have witnessed an actual beginning of an American spin-off or merely a fleeting cameo. Yet the conversation rages on in countless online forums, video analyses, and publications. Everyone is dissecting that final scene. The cameo single-handedly has overshadowed almost all other aspects of the finale, from the show's final resolution for Gi-hun's storyline to the way In-ho's personal struggles reached a climax, culminating in a decision to explore new terrain. The entire season, with its mix of acclaim and criticism, ended on an exclamation point nobody expected. Perhaps that is precisely the purpose of the cameo, a final conversation piece that will keep the show alive in people's minds, fueling speculation long after the credits roll. Until Netflix or Hwang Dong-hyuk issues a decisive statement, we are left with more questions than answers. What is definitely clear is that Squid Game has walked an extraordinary path, beginning as a single Korean production outline that was rejected multiple times before finally finding a home on the streaming giant, then skyrocketing to global stardom and rewriting the playbook for what international content could achieve. Whether we get an official Squid Game, America next year, in 2 years, or not at all, Cate Blanchett's cameo stands as a testament to the show's unstoppable cultural force. Fans adore the idea that their beloved world of nerve-wracking games and moral chaos might not be over, fueling them to keep the theories flowing and the excitement brewing. In the end, the cameo gave us something to dream about. Even if the rumored American spinoff remains unconfirmed, people will continue spinning stories, analyzing every possibility for how the game might unfold in a new environment, and waiting to see whether that cameo will eventually become the launching pad for a brand new saga. After all, we have witnessed how Squid Game expanded its legacy far beyond the original episodes. From reality competitions that test players' manipulative strategies to video games that let you experience a sanitized version of the iconic tasks. It is no stretch of the imagination to foresee a day when we watch an entire cast of new participants fighting for their lives in the neon-laced streets of a dystopian Los Angeles, not just as a cameo, but as a fully realized second act of the show's enduring story. For now, we keep our eyes peeled to Netflix's official channels, to rumor reports, and to the possibility that big names like David Fincher might be waiting for the right moment to confirm or deny their involvement. Regardless of what happens next, the entire saga proves one thing: Squid Game is more than a series. It is a phenomenon that, for better or worse, continues to shape conversations about the extremes people will endure for money, second chances, or redemption. Whether you are team give us all the spin-offs or team the original should stand alone, there is no denying the powerful undercurrent of speculation that has us all on the edge of our seats. And with that, we end this deep dive into the cameo that shook a global audience. The final question remains: if the game does indeed start up in America, would you dare take that invitation? One thing is certain: when a single cameo can spawn this much interest, the possibilities are endless.